subscribed. It would truly help me out if you could subscribe, like, or comment on my videos. That helps me beat the YouTube algorithm, which in turn allows my videos to get seen by more people like yourselves. So thank you again. We are so close to getting 10,000 subscribers, so it would really help me out if you could do that. And once we reach 10K, I have a special surprise planned for you all. Also, if you don't know, my husband and I, we run another channel where we do DIYs, and we are so close to getting our first 1,000 subscribers on there. We only need about 200 more, so I'm going to put the link for that somewhere on this page and in the description box. It would truly help us out if you could support us on that channel as well. Alright, so enough talk about subscribing. I know the real reason why you are all here. So let's dig into our case this evening. This case, I had heard about it when it actually happened, but it still is just one that is so interesting and fascinating to me. So let's get into the specifics and all of the facts. Today we are discussing the disappearance of Natasha Ryan. So Natasha was born on May 9th in the year 1984. Natasha lived with her parents, who were named Jenny and Robert Ryan. They lived in Rockhampton, Queensland, Australia. Now, I personally have never been to Australia. which was their typical routine. This sadly would be the last time Jenny would see Natasha. Natasha attended school as usual, and then at some point after school, she met up with her best friend to see a movie. Natasha's best friend was named Mayoha, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Mayoha was a guy that went to school with Natasha. It was scheduled for Natasha's mother to pick her up from the movies that evening, but after Jenny showed up and was unable to find Natasha, she spoke to several people nearby the theater. These people claimed that they saw Natasha getting into a car and heading off with a man after she had been taking a smoke break outside the theater. At first, Natasha's parents assumed that Scott had simply come and picked up Natasha and that she had run off yet again to be with her boyfriend. After speaking to Scott, however, and him claiming that he had not seen Natasha and did not know her whereabouts, Natasha's parents, along with the police, grew very concerned. So the police even called Scott in for questioning, and I don't know if they went and searched his home right away, but they were unable to find Natasha and believed that Scott really did not know where she was located. Searches began for Natasha, and the police were growing more and more worried after they were unable to find any additional evidence, seeing as to where Natasha had gone. The police knew that Natasha's best friend, Mayoa, had been the last person to actually see her, and they began to question him to see if he had anything to do with Natasha's disappearance. The police brought Mayoa in and even questioned if he had possibly murdered Natasha. He maintained his innocence, however, and claimed that he had not done anything to Natasha, and that he was just as upset about her disappearance. Mayoha kept in close contact with Natasha's mother during this time, and he truly did try his hardest to help police find Natasha, but unfortunately, he did not know where she was either. Around the same time that Natasha had gone missing, two other confessed to killing 5 different women, including Natasha. Natasha's family was, of course, very heartbroken by this news, but they were told that Leonard was going to have to stand trial for Natasha's murder. Now, before the trial began, keep in mind it takes usually several years for a trial to actually begin. But before it began, in the year 2001, on what would have been Natasha's 17th birthday, her family and friends held a memorial service for her, as they did believe Leonard's story and thought that Natasha was deceased at this time. It wasn't until 2003 before the case against Leonard actually went to trial. Shortly after the trial for Leonard murdering Natasha began, the police in Rockhampton received a very strange tip. At this point, Natasha had been missing for almost 5 years. The tip was a note that was delivered to the police station, and the note said, "Natasha Ryan is alive and well. You can contact her at," and then it had a phone number and a home address. The address was for a house located in North Rockhampton. Because the trial was already underway and the police had she did not know Leonard and had no idea why he admitted to kidnapping and murdering her. Of course, Leonard was not charged for Natasha's murder. However, he was found guilty for murdering 3 other girls and sentenced to life in prison. The police questioned Natasha and asked what she had been doing this whole time. They thought possibly Scott had forced her to run away or talked her into it. However, Natasha specifically said it was her choice and decision to run away. She never felt pressure from Scott at all. However, she never gave police a good reason as to why she wanted to run away from home. After Scott had picked Natasha up from the movie theater in 1998, Scott had gotten a job as a milk delivery man, and she had hidden away in his truck. After that, she went and lived at his home in Rockhampton for some time, but shortly after disappearing, they moved to Yeppoon, Queensland, which is about 30 minutes away from Rockhampton and right on the coast in Australia. When they lived there, Natasha never really went outside. She did not see the sun and went to the beach a handful of times, but only at night when no one else could see her. After staying in Yeppoon for quite some time, they moved back to Rockhampton, where they lived until Natasha was found in April of 2003. Natasha claimed that during this time she had wanted to call her family and tell them she was alive. However, at first she did not want them to know, and then Leonard confessed to murdering her, and she felt uncomfortable and as if the lie had gotten so big that she just never called. The police looked into Scott and found that she really had been there of her own free will. However, Scott was sentenced to 3 years in prison, which was eventually reduced to 1 year. Natasha was found guilty of causing a false investigation and was fined $1,000. In 2008, Scott got out of jail. He and Natasha ended up getting married. There are reports that they have 3 children together, and to this day, Natasha has never told anyone why she ran away from home. So this case is just so crazy to me. I am thankful for the happy ending, but I wish we knew why Natasha had ran off in the first place. I hope you guys have a